Service entrance conductors are the wires that run from the utilities transformer to the main disconnect or overcurrent protective device, or OCT, of the building. This is often referred to as the service drop or service lateral. The feeders are the wires that carry the electricity from the main disconnect to the various distribution points within the building. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, permits the use of aluminum conductors for both service entrance and feeder conductors. However, there are some restrictions. Firstly, aluminum can be used for service entrance conductors in accordance with Article 338 of the NEC. The size of the aluminum conductors must be adjusted to provide the same ampacity as copper conductors. Secondly, aluminum can also be used for feeder conductors in accordance with Article 310 of the NEC. The ampacity of aluminum conductors must be adjusted to provide the same ampacity as copper conductors. The additional 20-40 feet of number 3/0 copper that is needed due to the relocation of the pad mount transformer would be considered service entrance conductors. The 170 feet of parallels from the main to the MDP would be considered feeder conductors. Therefore, according to the NEC, aluminum can be used for both sets of conductors. While aluminum is generally less expensive than copper, it is important to factor in the additional cost of using larger aluminum conductors to achieve the same ampacity. Additionally, aluminum conductors require special connectors and fittings. Ultimately, the decision of whether to use copper or aluminum should be made based on a cost-benefit analysis. Consult with a qualified electrician to determine the most cost-effective solution. When selecting conductors for electrical installations, understanding the distinction between service entrance conductors and feeder conductors is essential for ensuring compliance with the National Electrical Code, or NEC, and optimizing system performance and cost-effectiveness. Service entrance conductors form the initial connection between the utilities transformer and the building's main disconnect or overcurrent protective device, or OCT, effectively establishing the service point. These conductors, often referred to as the service drop or service lateral, bear the responsibility of delivering the total electrical load to the building. Feeder conductors, on the other hand, act as the distribution network, channeling electricity from the main disconnect to various distribution points within the building. These points then feed branch circuits that power specific loads. The NEC recognizes and permits the utilization of both aluminum and copper conductors for service entrance and feeder applications. However, adhering to specific guidelines is critical to ensure safe and reliable operation. For service entrance conductors, Article 338 of the NEC governs the installation of aluminum conductors. A key requirement is to adjust the size of the aluminum conductors to match the ampacity of their copper counterparts. Ampacity, which denotes the current carrying capacity of a conductor, is influenced by factors such as conductor material, size, insulation type, and ambient temperature. Aluminum conductors generally exhibit lower conductivity compared to copper, necessitating larger sizes to achieve equivalent ampacity ratings. Similarly, Article 310 of the NEC addresses the application of aluminum conductors for feeder circuits. As with service entrance conductors, maintaining equivalent ampacity is paramount. Electrical engineers and contractors consult ampacity tables provided in the NEC, such as Table 310.15b16, to determine the appropriate conductor size based on the anticipated load, conductor insulation, and installation conditions. These tables provide ampacity values for various conductor sizes and insulation types at specific operating temperatures. In situations where the relocation of equipment, such as a pad mount transformer, necessitates additional conductor length, careful consideration must be given to the conductor type and size. The added 20-40 feet of number 3/0 copper, initially specified, would be classified as service entrance conductors due to their role in connecting the transformer to the building's main disconnect. The subsequent 170 feet of parallel conductors extending from the main disconnect to the main distribution panel, or MDP, fall under the category of feeder conductors responsible for distributing power within the building. The NEC grants the flexibility to use either aluminum or copper conductors for both segments of the electrical system, offering opportunities for cost optimization. Aluminum conductors typically present a lower upfront cost compared to copper conductors. However, a comprehensive cost analysis must encompass additional factors, such as the need for larger conductor sizes and specialized connectors. To achieve equivalent ampacity ratings, aluminum conductors must be larger in diameter than their copper counterparts. This increased size can affect conduit sizing, installation labor, and overall material costs. Furthermore, aluminum conductors necessitate the use of connectors and fittings specifically designed for aluminum to aluminum or aluminum to copper connections. These connectors are engineered to prevent galvanic corrosion, which can occur when dissimilar metals come into contact in the presence of moisture. Galvanic corrosion can compromise the integrity of the electrical connection and lead to premature failure. When making the final decision between copper and aluminum conductors, it is advisable to perform a thorough cost-benefit analysis. Consulting with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer is crucial to assess the specific requirements of the project, including load calculations, voltage drop considerations, and applicable code requirements. By carefully evaluating the total installed cost, long-term reliability, and maintenance requirements, stakeholders can make an informed decision that aligns with their budgetary constraints and performance objectives. In addition to the NEC, other industry standards and local regulations may influence the selection and installation of electrical conductors. Coordination with local authorities and adherence to best practices are essential for ensuring a safe and code-compliant electrical system. Regular inspections and maintenance are also critical for identifying and addressing potential issues such as loose connections or corrosion that can affect the performance and longevity of the electrical system. In summary, the selection of conductors for electrical installations involves a multifaceted decision-making process. Understanding the roles of service entrance conductors and feeder conductors, complying with NEC guidelines, considering cost factors, and seeking expert advice are all integral components of this process. By adopting a holistic approach, stakeholders can create electrical systems that are safe, reliable, and optimized for the intended application. When dealing with electrical conductors, particularly in the context of service entrances and feeders, it's crucial to understand several key concepts and considerations to ensure safety, compliance, and optimal performance. Firstly, ampacity, as previously mentioned, refers to the current carrying capacity of a conductor. It is the maximum amount of electrical current, measured in amps, that a conductor can continuously carry without exceeding its temperature rating. The ampacity of a conductor is determined by several factors, including the conductor material, size, insulation type, and ambient temperature. The NEC provides ampacity tables such as Table 310.15b16 that list the ampacity values for various conductor types and sizes under specific conditions. Secondly, voltage drop is a critical factor to consider in electrical circuit design. It refers to the reduction in voltage that occurs along the length of a conductor due to its resistance. Excessive voltage drop can cause equipment to malfunction, reduce the brightness of lighting, and decrease the efficiency of electrical systems. The NEC recommends limiting voltage drop to a maximum of 3% for branch circuits and 5% for feeders. To minimize voltage drop, conductors with larger cross-sectional areas or conductors made of materials with lower resistance such as copper can be used. Thirdly, grounding and bonding are essential safety measures in electrical systems. Grounding refers to the intentional connection of a conductive object to the earth, providing a low impedance path for fault currents to flow back to the source. Bonding, on the other hand, refers to the connection of non-current carrying metal parts of electrical equipment to create an electrically conductive path. Grounding and bonding help to protect against electrical shock hazards and prevent the buildup of static electricity. The NEC specifies detailed requirements for grounding and bonding in Article 250. Fourthly, overcurrent protection is another critical safety measure in electrical systems. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, are designed to interrupt the flow of electrical current when it exceeds a safe level. These devices protect conductors and equipment from damage caused by overloads and short circuits. The NEC requires that overcurrent protection devices be selected and installed in accordance with specific requirements outlined in Article 240. Fifthly, conductor insulation plays a crucial role in preventing electrical shorts and ensuring the safe operation of electrical systems. Conductor insulation is a non-conductive material that surrounds the conductor, preventing it from coming into contact with other conductors or grounded surfaces. Various types of insulation are available, each with different temperature ratings, moisture resistance, and chemical resistance. The NEC specifies the types of insulation that are permitted for different applications in Article 310. Sixthly, conductor derriting is necessary when conductors are installed in environments with high ambient temperatures or when multiple conductors are bundled together. High ambient temperatures can reduce the ampacity of conductors, while bundling multiple conductors together can increase the heat generated within the conductors. To compensate for these effects, the NEC requires that conductors be derrated in accordance with specific tables and calculations outlined in Article 310. Seventhly, conductor identification is essential for ensuring proper connections and preventing accidental miswiring. The NEC requires that conductors be identified by color coding or other markings to indicate their purpose, such as hot, neutral, or ground. Proper conductor identification helps to prevent electrical shock hazards and ensures that electrical systems function correctly. Eighthly, conductor termination refers to the method of connecting conductors to electrical equipment such as circuit breakers, switches, and receptacles. Proper conductor termination is essential for ensuring a reliable electrical connection and preventing overheating. The NEC specifies the types of connectors and termination methods that are permitted for different applications in Article 110. Ninthly, conduit and cable management are important considerations for protecting conductors from physical damage and ensuring the safe and organized installation of electrical systems. Conduit is a rigid or flexible tube used to enclose and protect conductors. Cable trays are open support systems used to support and route cables. The NEC specifies the types of conduit and cable trays that are permitted for different applications in Chapter 3. Tenthly, electrical drawings and diagrams are essential tools for planning, installing, and maintaining electrical systems. Electrical drawings and diagrams provide a visual representation of the electrical system, including the location of conductors, equipment, and control devices. These drawings help to ensure that the electrical system is installed correctly and that it can be easily maintained and repaired. By understanding these key concepts and considerations, electrical professionals can design, install, and maintain electrical systems that are safe, reliable, and code compliant. Remember that the NEC is a comprehensive document, and it is essential to consult the latest edition for specific requirements and guidelines.